When I first packed my bags to travel through Asia, I imagined it would be a thrilling adventure. I wanted to taste new food, see ancient temples, walk through bustling markets, and feel the rush of being in places so different from home. I wanted to grow, to change, to find pieces of myself scattered across the world. And yes, I found all of that. But I also found something more. Because after months of wandering through Asia, one country stood out above all the rest. One country made me feel not just like a traveler passing through, but like someone who belonged. That country was the Philippines. But before I take you there, let me start from the beginning. My Asian journey began in Japan. Japan was like stepping into the future while keeping one foot in the past. The trains were so punctual I could set my watch by them. The neon lights of Tokyo dazzled me, and the temples whispered stories older than anything I had ever touched in America. I ate sushi so fresh it felt like the ocean itself had handed it to me, and I learned that silence in a crowded subway could be its own kind of language. Japan taught me order, respect, and discipline. Then came South Korea. Seoul was alive, buzzing with energy, music, fashion, and food that made me sweat and smile at the same time. I ate kimchi that nearly burned my tongue, laughed at my own clumsy attempts at karaoke, and walked through palaces that made me imagine kings and queens of long ago. Koreans worked hard, played hard, and lived with a kind of passion that made me admire them deeply. Thailand swept me off my feet with its contrasts. One day I was stuck in Bangkok traffic, motorbikes weaving around me like dragonflies. And the next I was on a quiet beach in Koh Samui, listening to waves instead of car horns. I ate pad thai on the street, sticky mango rice that tasted like sunshine, and I found myself at golden temples where incense curled toward the heavens. Thailand showed me chaos and calm, and how the two could live side by side. Vietnam humbled me with its strength and beauty. I sat on tiny plastic chairs, sipping coffee so strong it could power an airplane, and watched scooters flow past me like a river without end. I explored Ha Long Bay, where limestone cliffs rose out of emerald waters like ancient guardians. Vietnam was noisy and serene, tough and tender, all at once. Cambodia broke my heart and healed it. Standing before Angkor Wat at sunrise, I felt awe for the hands that built such wonders. At the same time, learning about the tragedies of its recent history left me quiet for days. Malaysia and Singapore dazzled me with their diversity. Food stalls offering Chinese noodles, Indian curries, and Malay satay, all in the same block. Singapore's skyline gleamed like a jewel of modern ambition. Every country gave me something to remember, something to cherish. Yet, despite the beauty, I sometimes felt like an outsider looking in. People were kind, yes, but there was still a distance. I was always the foreign guest, politely welcomed, but never quite woven into the fabric of daily life. And then I landed in the Philippines. The moment I stepped off the plane in Manila, I felt it. The difference. The immigration officer smiled and greeted me in clear English, not the stiff politeness of a job requirement, but with warmth, as if she was genuinely happy I had come. My taxi driver chatted with me the whole way into the city, laughing, asking about my life back in America, and telling me about his children. People on the streets smiled at me, not as a tourist with dollars to spend, but as another person. That warmth only grew in the days to come. In other countries, I had struggled with language barriers, often relying on awkward hand gestures or translation apps. But in the Philippines, English flowed easily. Almost everyone I met could speak it. Sometimes better than me, I joked. From street vendors selling fish balls to college students in cafes, from jeepney drivers to hotel clerks, conversations came effortlessly. This meant something powerful. I wasn't just observing the country, I was understanding it. I was connecting directly with the people who lived here. Food was my first real adventure in the Philippines. Filipino cuisine is not as internationally famous as Thai or Japanese, but let me tell you, every meal I had felt like a discovery. I remember my first plate of adobo, tender chicken simmered in soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, and spices. It was comfort in a bite, rich yet simple, like the kind of dish a grandmother makes when she wants you to feel loved. Then there was lechon, a whole roasted pig with crispy golden skin that crunched under my teeth while the meat inside melted with flavor. At first I thought halo sounded odd, shaved ice with purple yam, beans, fruit, flan, and ice cream. But on a hot Manila afternoon, that colorful dessert tasted like joy itself. And then there was balut. Yes, the famous fertilized duck egg. I hesitated at first, my American stomach unsure if it could handle it. But with locals cheering me on and laughing with me, not at me, I tried it. And to my surprise, it wasn't bad. It tasted like chicken soup in a bite, and the experience itself was worth more than the flavor. That was the Philippines. Encouraging, playful, never making you feel ashamed, but always inviting you to be part of the fun. But food was only the beginning. Nature here was breathtaking in ways that photographs can never truly capture. I flew to Palawan, often called the last frontier of the Philippines. In El Nido, I kayaked through limestone cliffs that rose straight out of turquoise water so clear I could see fish darting beneath me. In Coron, I swam in lakes hidden among cliffs, their water a shade of blue I didn't know existed outside of dreams. I went to Bohol and stood in awe at the Chocolate Hills, thousands of perfectly shaped mounds stretching as far as the eye could see, turning brown in the summer sun. I saw tarsiers there too, tiny primates with eyes so big they looked like little forest guardians, holding on to branches as if keeping ancient secrets. In Banaue, I walked along rice terraces carved into the mountains 2,000 years ago by the Ifugao people. Standing there, I realized this wasn't just scenery, it was heritage, living proof of a people's harmony with the land. And then Siargao. Oh, Siargao. Known as the surfing capital of the Philippines, this island wasn't just for surfers. It was paradise for the soul. Palm trees swayed, locals waved at me as I biked past, and children ran barefoot, their laughter echoing through the streets. I wasn't a stranger here. I was part of the scene, invited into games, meals, and songs. The people made the Philippines what it was. Hospitality here wasn't something taught in school. It was in their blood. Filipinos had this way of making you feel like family, even if you had just met. Neighbors looked out for each other, a spirit they call bayanihan, working together, helping one another without expecting anything in return. And the English. In rural villages and big cities alike, I could talk to almost anyone. This made me feel safe, understood, and welcome. Locals loved to joke, to sing, to share stories. Karaoke wasn't just a pastime here, it was a passion. In fact, I don't think I met a Filipino who didn't love to sing. Whether their voice was angelic or off-key didn't matter. Music was about joy, togetherness, and expression. Festivals lit up the country too. I joined the Sinulog Festival in Cebu, where the streets pulsed with drums, dancers in bright costumes spun and twirled, and people from all walks of life moved as one. In Vigan, I strolled along cobblestone streets lined with Spanish colonial houses, feeling like I had stepped back in time. The Philippines is also deeply spiritual, with Catholicism shaping much of its culture. I attended a mass in Manila one Sunday, and I was moved by the devotion in every song, every prayer, every bowed head. Faith here wasn't just tradition, it was life, woven into daily existence. But perhaps what struck me most was the resilience of the people. Typhoons, earthquakes, economic struggles. The Philippines has seen its share of hardship. And yet, in the face of it all, Filipinos smile. They laugh. They share what little they have. They dance in the rain. They rebuild with bare hands. They sing in the dark. That resilience was humbling to witness. Day by day, the country reshaped me. I came to the Philippines as a traveler, but I stayed because it felt like home. I realized that happiness wasn't about wealth, or speed, or having the latest gadgets. It was about connection, community, gratitude for simple joys. It was about waking up to a rooster's crow in a small village, eating rice and fish with your hands while laughing with neighbors, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors no artist could capture. The Philippines gave me more than memories, it gave me perspective. It slowed me down, it softened me, it reminded me of what matters most. Looking back at my entire journey across Asia, I can say this without hesitation. The Philippines was, and will always be, my favorite destination. Not because it had the tallest buildings or the flashiest attractions, but because it had heart. A heart big enough to welcome a foreigner like me and make me feel like I belonged. I thought I came here just to travel. But the truth is, I came here to find home. And I found it. In the Philippines.